Hey there traders, David here of Trading Fibs and MarketFi to bring you the daily trend for May 19, 2015. As always, please seek financial advisement when trading with your money, as these videos are for educational purposes only. To support your knowledge in the market, see what's going through my head on any given day. Always make sure you have a solid trading plan and always manage your stop when placing a trade. Let's jump right in here to the four major indices as we see price action on all four majors holding at yesterday's previous session highs, but I'm unable on 60-period volume average being able to break that or even come close to it. Price momentum index all around on all four majors to the upside, continuing trend. As we sit in between here on the TF monthly fib level and fib target number 1. YM all-time highs, monthly fib level up above 18,501 with fib target 1 18,068 sitting right in the middle. NQ looking for that all-time high again as it pushes upside, weekly fib level 45.90 with a monthly fib level down here of 44.23. And ES doing its chop that has been happily doing for almost the last month as it continued to break upside and hold upside above that most recent high. Price momentum index continuing upside. And so if price momentum index is the upside, what's another way of looking at that is through our 100 tick range charts. Another way of seeing price action in trend. Applying what we do on an intraday basis to a longer time frame, whether it be swing size, daily charts, time, doesn't matter, your choice. The goal here is to see, am I in trend? Or the question is, am I in trend? And absolutely, as we can see price action on the TF here back at the end of April, continuing to the downside, 534 to turn it around after a pullback, convinces me that once I wake up in the morning, market opens, if I am in trend on a 534 100 tick range chart and I have the same setup on an intraday chart, that makes it a more powerful move. The YM, same story here. After a pullback here, solid Heikin-Ashi bar, breakout above the previous high here, 427, continues to move higher. NQ, ES here on a 50 tick range chart, always also showing the same momentum to the upside until we show differently and show that we're back into the red that continued to be in the uptrend. Price continues to be in an uptrend. Here we see, jump into the 5-minute macro pick as we see here in the upper left-hand corner, the 5-minute and the 25-minute, the 25-minute open range and 1-hour open range on a 5-minute chart. Price action coming from the open all the way down, setting up the 1-hour open range, the chop here at the daily pivot, up to the daily gap, and then finishing out here right at the daily gap about 1255. YM session today, similar picture as price action moved up to the top of the 1-hour open range, up to the CAM H4, finding support here at the daily pivot and breaking upside above the daily gap to finish in the positive right here towards the previous session high. NQ here shown in the 25 1-hour open range, wide open range today. Price action continued to move down back to the bottom of the range several times today, finding support there after not being able to break upside from the opening price and post 30-minute level, and then coming downside to the daily pivot to show itself closing here at the daily pivot. The ES here on a 5-minute chart, same particular price action, finding this chop here between the daily gap and the top of the 1-hour open range, breaking upside above the previous session high, finding some resistance here at a post 30-minute level, and breaking all the way downside, which was really the second best setup of the day besides the little pockets of opportunity. Here you can see breaks down to the lower part of the open range, 1-hour open range, and finishing up around the post 30-minute pivot. Let's jump right into some of the price action that we saw today. As we can see, this was pre-market action as the price action was coming downside prior to market open. The setup already there, and that was it. That's all you needed as ES came down with all the four major indices for a little bit of a ride south. Looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 labels in the red. That's right, price action pushing down below that 250 all the way down here to about past 500. Big push down. Here was a possible pullback for re-entry at the market, and coming and pushing down below 21.2525. Momentum to the downside puts you in the trend, color cloud, and underneath 534 EMA. It was the ES that wasn't able to find any other opportunity to the downside as 50 moving average offered a little bit of resistance there. Daily gap, overnight low, all in condensed area and unable to push away from that until a little bit later. So it was the ES in the first 45 minutes after that nice ride down, unable to really get anything moving in a trend move. At post 2.5 hours, we could see on all 4 major indices the goal of having 1 to 2 setups. The TF here having 2 setups, a little bit right at the market open, as we had seen here at the beginning, prior to market open price action already to the downside, continuing after a pullback, and then a second opportunity. It was all chop, really back and forth. The YM also continuing that drive downside, being able to enter on a pullback, and then a second opportunity here at post 1 hour the market open. Same picture here on the NQ with 1 additional setup, and it was the ES that we just showed you here that had the 1 opportunity to the downside and then a push up after and towards the European close. Price action eventually turned itself around at post 2.5 hours as it tried to push back upside on all 4 major indices in the green, and it was after that little push up in the green that price action then turned south once again, as the ES here had a T3 short entry, T3 crossing moving average in sync with the 534, increasing the probability that price action was going to continue downside here, breaking the overnight session. The overnight, here's a 50-period moving average right together with the overnight session low, and that's what we were looking for on the tick count right here, negative 827. Pushing south all the way down and keeping you in the trend with the solid Heikin Ashi bars. There we see all the picture on all 4 major indices as that move was heading downside. Opportunities existed. Unfortunately, not here on the TF. Increased probability would have been greater had this red color cloud on the 534 crossover had been pushed a little bit back as it had moved on the crossover. It was the YM and the NQ had the best entry of all, and the ES. And so finishing out the session as the ES had made its way down here to the open range low, price action bouncing off the low, but 5 never really being able to cross over that 34, keeping ourselves really in a a bearish position as price action attempted to break upside above the 144 and found support in the 50 and really put us into a tight gap. So the best price action right down here as the market had pushed downside below that 500 period moving average, really set up a nice entry to the short on the ES. It wasn't all about the indices today. Opportunities existed there on the crude as trading pre-market was downside, and then eventually after the market opened about post 1 hour as price action unable to break upside above the unable to break above the 144 and the 50-period moving average and breaking down below the overnight session low, and price action just continued to the south, offering another opportunity for re-entry over here. So again, same strategy, different market, whether you trade it on a 10-tick, you trade it on a minute chart using the T3 moving average, the 534 crossover in unison to keep you in trend. If it wasn't about the crude today, could have been on the silver. Silver using the same strategy. That's right, 534 crossover, the solid Heikin Ashi bar with a T3 moving average crossover. That's the gold standard right there in sync as we see price action breaking underneath the overnight low and then right downside to the south, holding underneath the 50 and the 144, keeping you in the trends. Looking for price action on the other majors. When it came to possible equities, we turned to the IBD, which I'll do in another market wrap, daily trend for today. So please make sure you catch that a little bit later. And so that is our daily trend for today. The NQTSYM and all 4 major indices here in trend to the upside as we continue until otherwise when we see intraday turn south and see a change trend on a longer time frame, we'll know that price action is headed in the other direction. That concludes today's daily trend. Feel free to stop by at Trading Fibs or any of my social media outlets to obtain more information. My trading mantra of know one thing, know well rings true for all markets, whether you trade the Forex, ETFs, stocks, equities, options. My plan will keep you disciplined. You can find me every day on Twitter at Trading Fibs. And as always, I leave the crystal ball to the experts. I only trade what's in front of me and on my charts. One strategy, any market, any chart, any time frame. Have yourself a blue zone day.